Okay, good morning. We are continuing Yoreh. Now we're Hilchos Dam, concluding Hilchos Dam. Samech Chet, Siman Samech Chet. We are starting with Seif Aleph. Dinei Meligat Harosh v'Ha'ofot. Okay. Aleph. Well, it's basically about removing, a little bit about roasting and removing the hair. Okay, and feathers. Let's see. Aleph. Hatomein Harosh Litzloto. So the first case is you want to roast it. You want to roast the head. So you bury it a little bit in coals, something very hot. Tzarich shechavein sheyeh beit hashchita lamata. So we came across this before. It's important that it's able to drain out. We're koshering, removing out the blood, so it has to drip out. So you have to have an opening. And the opening, obviously, based on gravity, must be down, not up. So the opening of the neck has to be downward. Kadeshi azov hadam derech sham v'mhinicho al tzdadim. Now, what happens if you put the head on the side? So now it's like a bowl. There's no place for the blood to be drawn out. So it pulls, the sleeve pulls out the blood. Now it's dam evarim shapiresh, and it needs a place to go, but it's on its side. So the halacha is hamoach ve'akrum asurim. The brain and the membrane is asur. Right? If you recall, there are two membranes in the body that are asur mishum dam. So one of them is the membrane around the brain, and so therefore the blood will be drawn there and it will trafe up the brain along with the membrane. It has blood in there, it'll trafe it up. And the other krum, if you remember, is the krum around the beitzei zachar. As we saw last night, well actually it was a few nights ago, when it was shechted, we saw the actual beitzei zachar, right? There's two of them. And in order to kosher it, the shochet had to cut and peel off the outer membrane. And you might think that's weird. There's no chalev over there. It's because of dam. There's blood vessels that go there, and it's in the membrane for blood vessels. And just incidentally, we also learned when it comes to cooking lamb or preparing it. So the one thing that Rav Yoel pointed out is when they recommend how to cook them, the goyim, they don't remove the membrane for the sake of dam, but they actually, I guess when he looked it up, they always say before you cook them, you're supposed to remove that membrane because I'm not sure exactly why, but maybe it's bad flavor or it doesn't let it cook as well. Something about it, or you don't want to bite on it. Whatever it is, it just, okay. Thought that might be a little interesting there. Anyways, let's continue. Ela in kein nikev etzem hamoach v'haya hanekev lamata lefi shadam zav derech sham. Okay, so there's another, even if you don't have it downward with the neck of the head downward, let's say it's on its side, so the bottom of whatever it's on its side. So where it's on the side downward, you just have to drill a hole, crack a hole, and through the skull, and then that's fine, because any of the blood that will ooze out from the membrane will ooze out, and it won't stay in there like a pool, and then trafe up the brain that's inside. Okay, the Shach just points out that when the moach and the krum, the membrane becomes asur, the rest of the head is fine, because it just stays in there where it is, and it doesn't affect the same way. It's not going to penetrate, and so the rest of the muscle around the head, anything there, the skin, whatever, it's all, there's no problem. Okay. He even points out, even technically, even if the krum wasn't pierced, then, but you're able to draw out through the head, it'll still be fine. Okay, let's go on. Haga. Ulechatchila nagu lahachmer shelo litzlot shumro shalem afilu rotze lenicho abeit hashchita chayshinan shemite pechatz tzadav. So the Rama says the minhag lechatchila you shouldn't roast the head whole. You should always remove the brain or cut open the head. And this way, because it's very possible for it just to fall over. It's like a little bit, not quite, but a little bit like a ball. It could just like roll over, and then you end up with a problem. So to avoid it, the minhag is generally you remove. You don't roast the whole head whole. So for a Korban Pesach, you would, it has to be Shalom. You for sure will not, some of the rules are broken for the sake of Korban Pesach. Right, there's discussion what to do with the Giranasha, the Shuman, other issues, but we definitely don't break a bone. According to him, would you take out, the bones have to be Shalom. Anyway, look at Hilchos Korbanos. If you would remove it out first or not. If it's Me'akev, then this is just a minhag. It's not to uproot a din. But, okay.
No, so the head is still attached to the...
Oh yeah, you can't break the vertebrae also. But anyways, let's stay on focus here. Dalet, bet. Hinichu al nechirav. Na'atzbo kane odavar acher, motor. V'imlav aser hamoach ve'akrum. Okay, there is another hole, orifice that the blood can drain out of. It's also through the nostrils. So that's another way out. But if you're going to put it on its side with the nostrils downward, you have to make sure that you have something to prop open the nostrils, because otherwise it'll easily close on itself, and then it seals itself for this halacha. So if you don't prop it open, then the moach, the same halacha we just read, the moach and the krum would be aser.
Is that what na'atzbo kanen means? To prop it open, or it means to put it on a spit? That's a shrew.
No, it's referring to the nechirav. Gimel. Yesh mishakatev de lahashir asir. Ashir et hase'ar bilvad. Afilo nichu al tzdadim mutter v'yesh mi she'oser. Okay. Now we want to remove the hair from the animal. So, can you leave it on its side, l'chatchila, just to remove the hair? How do you remove the hair? You burn it. You do a quick wave in the heat, and it burns off. So that's not called roasting. It's not cooking. Right? You can easily, just as an analogy, you could wave your finger through the fire. You're not going to burn yourself. It has to be close enough and long enough. You know that if you're doing a barbecue, you can run, if you have hair on the back of your hand or arm, you can, sometimes it happens unintentionally, you can just rub your hand over the barbecue and you'll notice you turn around and you lost some of your hair and some of it turned white or black. So you see that that's not, and you didn't burn yourself, you didn't roast yourself. So anyways, that'll help a little bit with the halachot that you keep learning in the siman. So anyways, if the purpose is just to remove the hair and you burn off the hair, that doesn't create an issue, even if it pooled, because there was no tzli. V'yesh mi she'oser, there's an opinion that says it's aser, haga, ve'hasvar rishona hi ikar. And the first opinion is the correct opinion, la halacha, v'chein noagin lachroch harosh la'asir se'ar. And that's what we do, la'maisa, la'chatchila. We, scorch, we just get the hair burnt off to remove the hair. V'chein ofos mishirei notzo shaleim. And we also do that for feathers. Dehoyel ve'enu munach al makom echad ela ma'aviro heina ve'heina. Since you're not leaving it there on the fire to generate heat, you're just waving it. There's no chashash even that the blood is going to get hot enough and and be nivla into a piece of the animal where you're going to eat. Ve'enu asur ela hatmana. The only issue is if you bury it and you rest it in the hot coals, munach tamid b'makom echad, and it's resting on one place. V'noagin, I'll just point out, the Shach even points out, the Ramah is saying, really, the koladeos, even the first and the second opinion, if you're just waving it, it's not a problem. The machloket and the ikar opinion is the first one, that's mutter, is even if you're resting it in a hatamana for the sake of se'ar, it's also okay. But again, it can't be that you're roasting it. It has to just be enough to remove the hair, not that you're roasting it. Otherwise, if you're roasting it, that's back to se'if aleph. V'shemunach tami b'makom echad. V'noagin lachroch al kash v'teven, and the minhag is, don't do it on a high heat, you do it on a low heat, with straw. She'ein lehem chamimut kol kach, it doesn't get so hot. V'vashel hadam, to even cook the blood. U'bikol makom yaravim ala eish tamid shelo yeshem b'makom echad harbe. So lots of precautions. You wave it, you don't put it down, and you do it on a low heat, such as straw, and then you don't have to worry. Okay, let's get to Dalit. Im bishel harosh shalim kol aser. Im kein yeshishim keneged hamoach ukrumo. So now we're not talking about tzli, we're talking about, right, before we had tzli, where we said only the moach and the membrane is aser. Now we're talking about you cooked it. You didn't kosher it, you just cooked the whole head inside a pot of water, soup out of it, and what's the halacha, haga? Okay, so that's the halacha. The whole thing becomes aser. Unless you have shishim in your soup, keneged, the moach and the krum. The Shulchan Aruch says you only need shishim keneged, the moach and the krum. The Ramah holds, this comes up a little bit later on, the Ramah holds the whole thing becomes chanan, chatichas, Yisr, and therefore, chatichas nasas nevela is the expression, chanan, and then the whole thing, you need shishim keneged, the whole head. And we'll see, I'll just point out, the Shach points out, you need shishim keneged, the whole head, if the head is decapitated. If the head is still attached to the rest of the body, then you need shishim keneged, the krum and the moach, compared to the whole body, not compared to the whole head. Depends what your piece is that you're dealing with. Okay, Haga. Im salo kach shalem velot ve'abeit hashchita nechira v'datz be'midei. So if you roasted it shalem and you didn't make it drain downwards through the neck or the holes, so the nakrum ve'moach aser ve'asha'ar mutter. That's a repeat of what we learned. Ulechatchila noagim litol hamoach kodam hamalicha mitoch hagolgolet. So the minhag lechatchila is you just remove the moach first. V'lachtoch hagolgolet sheti ve'erev, and you cut the brain sheti ve'erev. Sha'az mitchatech hakrum heitev, and then you get some really good cuts into the krum. V'yesh masirin hakrum, and some just remove the entire membrane. Ub'diavad im chatcho sheti o erev sagi. B'diavad, if you at least cut it in one direction, it's enough. Afilu lo yisir hamoach kodem hamalicha. Even if you didn't remove the krum, as long as you b'diavad at least cut it one slit, and then you can do malicha or tzli. Afilu bish lo kach, and even if you cook it after this malicha, it's fine. Okay, and V'ayin, Siman, Ayin, Beis, Adi Beis, other places where he discusses Chanan, which we just mentioned. Okay. Let's go on.
So this should have the same amount as a heart. And that if you roast it once it's split open, then it's okay.
If you roast it when it's slit open, it's okay. I'm not exactly which part exactly you're referring to.
So the krum is considered that it's maleda.
The krum is malei dam, right?
As long as you split it open, then
correct.
Even what we saw of the Ramah
correct.
saying that you shouldn't do the head, but if you split it, then that
should not. It's not a problem, but you just have to make sure it can drain out. If you're draining it, you have to be able to drain it out.
So the only time you can't roast the head is if you don't split the krum.
You lachatchila, you have to.
Shouldn't roast the head. Is that also even if you split the krum?
I don't think you need to slit the krum if you're doing sli and it has where to drain out. No, that's the minhag, correct. The minhag is lechatchila, we remove it.
Remove it, but not and slitting is not enough.
Correct. Mitam minhag. And then again, minhag can change where you are sometimes. Okay. Hey. Okay. Habalim lo garosh. Tzarich lachtoch chutin shebelechi kodem meliga. So now, if you want to heat up the hair on the face to remove it, so don't forget you need to cut a couple of the blood vessels on the side of the jaw. Okay, okay, on the side of the jaw. You have to see exactly where they are. Fine. The other thing you need to do before you roast it a little bit, again, it's not really roasting, it's just to heat it up to get rid of the hair. You have to remove all the blood you have to wash away the blood from the neck, where it was shechted. Shum dam, so there shouldn't be any blood over there. And so too, when you want to remove the hair or the feathers from the chicken.
So what is maliga?
So maliga is removing the hair, and we're going to see also could be feathers. And initially we are discussing through fire, but it could also be done through hot water. And let's see, is this the place to bring it up?
So back in Gimel, when we mentioned last year, that's maliga.
Correct. Gimel is maliga. Correct. Sif Gimel. Yeah. Starting with Sif Gimel, we're talking about maliga. Until then, it's roasting for eating, and now we're getting to maliga. Okay. Haga. Even if this is your only intention is just to remove the hair, this is still the halacha that you want to cut the veins. Certainly, of course, if you're roasting. But everyone points out, though, even if you didn't wash away the neck, and even if you didn't cut any of the veins, if you're only waving with heat to remove the hair, that's not called tzli, and b'diavad, everything is still kosher lechatchila. Okay? It can still be sold as mahadran. It's not a problem. Okay. Let's go into Vav, I think. Yeah, let's go into Seif Vav. Keshomogin rosh or reglaim, ein tzarich lamocham tchila. When you're just doing maliga, you're heating up the head, or you're heating up the feet in order to remove the hair over there. Ein tzarich lamocham tchila. You do not have to salt them first. Okay, you're allowed to just wave the heat and to get the hair off, because you're not cooking anything.
We have Ein Zarek in parentheses.
Yes.
You have it in straight. That's part of the text, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ein is in bold, and tzarich is in, it says Haga tzarich with the Rashi script. In other words, I have two ways to read it. Keshomogin rosh or reglaim, ein lamocham tchila. The other way to read it is ein tzarich lamocham tchila, but you are allowed to salt it first. Haga umocham acharkach, and then you salt it afterwards. Aval imrotze lamocham tchila kodem amaliga sagile behachi. But if you want to salt it first, then that's fine. You're allowed to salt it first before you remove the hair. Interesting. Ve'ein hase'arot ma'ak min adam liflot. And now if you put salt on top of the hair, it works for malicha, and it still pulls out the dam through the hair. So you salt it with the hair and the skin on, and then you want to do maliga, remove the hair, and then you want to cook it and eat the skin over there, or the hoofs, I don't know, around there, and cook with it. Not a problem. That's all okay.
Does that apply to a bird? They was also talking about a bird. That is what I imagine on.
Yeah, so I'll just quote you what I read from Madane Shulchan. Again, this is also tied up. We're going to, many times these halachot, you have to go back and forth. Here Radam, Ayin Vav, and for like 10 simanim, it's Melicha. Really helps to do Chazara back and forth. And then certainly to Arovis. It's a whole give and take back and forth. So he points out you can do Melicha with salt, and it goes through the thin, short hair. But if it's going to be a furry hair, it's not going to go through the wool of a sheep. And I don't think it's going to go, he didn't discuss it, but I don't think it goes through thick hide. But in places where the skin is thin and the hair is thin, it's not a problem. If you have little pieces of feathers, it's going to go through it. But if you have the long, thick feathers, it's not going to go through it. Okay. So we'll take that as a good general rule. Okay. Let's get to Zayin, I think. The Shach just quotes the Marshal, who says Lechatchila mitzvah min muvchar is really to remove the hair and then do malicha. Yimloach achar hamaliga, but he says that's not the minhag. So I'm not sure what's done nowadays. Now you have machines and everything's a little different, but I did not look into it. But either way works. Okay. Yud Gimel. Okay, Zayin. Hamisibi margli abehema al eish lahasir telefayim v'lachrach hase'ar below melicha tchila mutter. You're allowed to. You want to remove the hair from the hoofs, from the skin around the hoofs. Not a problem. Even without doing melicha first, you heat it up and it's fine. Veish machmirim chodchim rasha telafim me'at umanichim hachetech lamata kadeshi yazov hadam. And some are machmer, that before you heat up the hoofs, what you should do is make a slit in the skin so that the blood doesn't pool, that's inside the animal, doesn't pool and get stuck near the hoofs, but they're able to drain right out. V'hachi nahug, that's the better way to do it.
That means that you actually chop them off, no?
No, a slit. You only have to do a slit. Doesn't mean cut off. Just you need an opening for any blood that would come out. Can, but okay. And doesn't matter what position they're in, and the Shach points out doesn't matter what position they're in, up or down. And this is not like a kli. Oh, he also points out even if you're cooking it. I think even if you're cooking it for longer. Here, it's not like a kli menukav, she'eno menukav. A kli metal, no blood is going to go through. The head, no blood is going to go through through the skull. But he points out that blood, the Vilna Gaon, the Gra, that blood does draw through. When you're doing tzli, it does go through skin or certain parts of the animal. So even for this, it could be in any position. And the minhag is, or the halacha is, you only remove kedei klipa. That's if you were cooking it and roasting it. Just a quick run through of heat is not going to do anything. But if you actually did sli and you didn't make a slit, then here, this is intertwined with the next halacha. I drop ahead of myself. But let's read chet. Parso saregel shenimlechu beklipatan v'lachatach roshan lo ne'esru. Also, if you're salting and you didn't make a slit, so it's not a problem because the blood draws out with the salt through the skin and around the hoofs. So it's not a problem. V'yesh osrim. So again, if you have to remove a klipa or not, that's the machloket Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah. The Ramah says, "V'yesh osrim af shebetocha klipa dahainu etlefayim," that you should remove kedei klipa, whether you do melicha or tzli. Aval hasha'ar mutter. The rest of the foot's fine. Normally, we say if it pools inside, then everything inside becomes aser. But here, we don't say because majority of the poskim just say it draws right out. And the Ramah is being extra machmer to remove a klipa. But mi'ikar adin, b'diavad, you don't need more than a klipa. And most poskim say really paskin like the Shulchan Aruch. Okay. Aval hasha'ar mutter v'hachi nahug, and that's the minhag. That all you have to do is remove a klipa. Lechatchila, you slit it, but if you don't, you just remove a klipa. And the same thing is if you were to cook it, beremetz, you let it sit on coals. So that's when you have to remove kedei klipa. But if you're only waving it to remove the hair, we already learned. But the Evid, it's all 100% mutter. Okay, fine. We'll stop here, I think. Yep.